few years ago, the state of Texas performed the largest high school steroid testing program in United States history. Texas is known for producing some of the best athletes in the world. However, this cost the taxpayers of Texas $10 million. Many of us have played sports, seen sports, or been affected by sports in some way. Steroid use is very prominent in the sports industry. One must be aware of the harmful effects that steroid use causes. My name is Brock Buffett, and I've been involved in sports my entire life. I've coached, I've played, and observed. I've studied steroids for the last few weeks and come to know a lot of negative effects of steroid use. I have also seen them injected firsthand. I will cover the following issues on anabolic steroids. First, I will explain how anabolic steroids work. Second, how they affect the individual. And third, I will explain and give examples on how anabolic steroids affect everyone. Let us begin by talking about the many harmful and negative effects of steroids. There are numerous and negative effects caused by steroids, but let's first discover what anabolic steroids are. Winstrol is a tablet that you take that is an anabolic steroid. It's a synthetic derivative of testosterone. It's chemically made up of three things: methyl, androst, and pyrazole. Anabolic steroids are synthetic versions of testosterone. They are often used to promote growth of muscle and bones. The reason is because of the ability to increase growth in those cells. There's also increased growth in other bodily tissues. And to break this down from a fundamental standpoint, in my slideshow on slide 3, it breaks this down very simply for us. So you have an anabolic steroid taken in orally or injected. It reaches the cell membrane. Once it hits the cell membrane, it connects to the hormone receptor. Once it's connected to the hormone receptor, it then hits the cell nucleus. And once it hits the cell nucleus, formation of the new protein begins. So in other words, once you take that and you work out, it breaks down your muscles, it attaches, and then it builds and builds and builds muscle. There are many harmful effects of steroid use. Whether steroids are used for medicinal or other purposes, they can produce many unwanted side effects, such as blood pressure, high blood pressure, cholesterol levels that are extreme, increased acne, baldness, prostate cancer, liver damage, growth of oral gums. And that's not to mention the psychological things that go on when you take those. It can lead to excessive aggressiveness or roid rage, confusion, sleeping disorders, anxiety, many types of hallucinations. Taking anabolic steroids is like cheating your way through high school. It's like being given the answers to every single test you take. However, then what happens? You come to college and then you don't have all the answers. Well, you fell miserably. When you take steroids, your body will look and feel amazing at first. However, as time goes on, your body will eventually fail you. Now that we've discussed the harmful effects of anabolic steroids, let us now talk about about why using performance-enhancing drugs is cheating. Using illegal drugs to improve your performance is simply dishonest and cheating. Steroid use is a form of cheating. Since steroids work so well, they create an unfair advantage both for you and for your opponent. This breaks many contracts that athletes set with team owners and organizations. But why do people use them if they're so harmful? It's because they actually work. It actually makes you bigger and makes you stronger, and it'll make you faster. However, there are rules against steroids in place in all major sports: football, basketball, soccer, but most focused upon baseball. I want to take a look at a typical example of steroid use that many are aware of. His name is Barry Bonds, and he is, or was, a professional baseball player. He was pretty good in his early years. However, when he started to take steroids, that's when his game really continued to develop and people started taking notice. Barry Bonds went from hitting a home run once out of every 16 at-bats to once out of every 8 at-bats. That's doubling his home run production. And that's what the people pay to see, and that's what pays your contract. You can hit home runs, you're going to get paid. Bonds was jealous of what Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa were doing, 2 other steroid uses, and hitting a lot of home runs. That's why he began doing this. To continue my stance, Barry Bonds, is he a good role model for youth athletes today? Let's take a look at the impact drugs have on sports. The impact that drugs use has a saddening approach on sports. Professional athletes are role models. Kids all around the world look up to these athletes. Kobe, Michael, Barry Bonds. Some do it, some don't. But what if you found out your favorite athlete did? Would you try it? Young men and women are more likely to use anabolic steroids if seeing their favorite player doing so. Nearly 2% of all of 12th graders, seniors in high school, use anabolic steroids. That may not seem like much, but that is an incredible amount of individuals. We don't get the opportunity to see the best players play due to people taking steroids. Athletes who are taking steroids who have been caught up or overshadowed by another player. It makes a bad name for the sport and team in which the individual is playing for. The players who take steroids take up a lot of the team salary cap room. That's enough about sports. Now that we understand why steroids should not be taken by professional athletes, to lead by example, let me now reiterate my 3 main points. I have now explained how anabolic steroids work, how they affect the individual, and I explained and gave examples on how anabolic steroids affect everyone. I have argued the harmful effects of steroid use. A few years ago, the state of Texas decided to perform the largest high school steroid testing program in United States history. Like I said earlier, this cost the taxpayers of Texas $10 million. They caught 40 students. 40 students cost Texas $10 million.